Welcome to Yellowstone National Park and the incredible Old Faithful. This is one of the most spectacular places in the country, if not the world. And of course, Yellowstone is our oldest national park. Now, I'm currently in Old Faithful and it's early October and the weather is starting to turn. And while it's still busy, it's also true there are far fewer tourists here now than in the summer, which is actually pretty nice. And while I've been to Old Faithful before, I've never actually stayed here. And staying here for a few days means I can wander far more than usual. So join me as we explore the incredible Old Faithful. Okay, first things first, where to stay, lodging. Now, the Old Faithful area has 3 distinct lodging options, and each one of them offers a different experience. Old Faithful Inn is the crown jewel and absolute must-see, even if you're not staying here. The hotel was built during the winter of 1903 and 1904, and, not surprisingly, is a National Historic Landmark. It's also considered one of the largest log structures in the world. And I have to say, the first time you enter the lobby and look up at the 65-foot high ceiling with the massive timber columns and towering stone fireplace, you kind of feel like you've gone back in time. It is amazing. Now, I think it's also gorgeous, and to be honest, it has so much character. Now, I remember some time ago reading a comment in one of my older Yellowstone videos that the hotel, this person believed, was dirty and old and in need of repair, but I don't agree. Although I guess it's also one of perception and expectation. I didn't expect this hotel to be the Waldorf. It's an old timber hotel in the middle of the oldest national park. But it is full of character, charm, and is a lot of fun. Now, it's also a little rustic. You don't have a TV or air conditioning, but you can listen to the music at night in the lobby. You can watch Old Faithful erupt from the balcony and, of course, absorb over 100 years of history. Now, what we really loved doing was actually sitting on the second floor of the hotel in the evening, listening to the live music and enjoying a drink, as well as the incredible ambiance of this wonderful old hotel. Now, if you do want something a little more modern with year-round access, check out the Old Faithful Snow Lodge. The newest version of the Snow Lodge, the one you see here, was built in 1999 and is the newest hotel in the park. And while it still maintains the world-renowned parkitecture style, it does offer a more contemporary feel. And even though it is decidedly more modern, there's still no TVs, and I still don't have a problem with that. Finally, we have the Old Faithful Lodge cabins. And actually, this is where we're staying. These are a little more budget-friendly, and they are, rustic and, basic. No frills here, but they're clean, they're warm, and they're fun. And yes, you can still walk to Old Faithful as well as the other hotels. They're just a few minutes away. Incidentally, when we were walking around one night, we saw an employee who was carrying bear spray, so we went and spoke with her. Now, she told us that they all carry bear spray when walking around this area, and for a very good reason. Now, during our time here, we did see a bear crossing the road. We heard elk bugling at night, which is incredible, both haunting and beautiful. And we've, of course, seen quite a number of bison. Now, obviously, be safe and follow all of the park rules when it comes to wildlife. Okay, food. Now, if you're staying here, you're honestly held a little bit hostage when it comes to places to eat. I mean, there's not really anything close by. However, thankfully, and I suppose expectedly, there are a few options for food while you're here. The Old Faithful Inn features a full-service dining room serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and reservations are highly recommended. Now, we did try to make reservations the week before we came, but the earliest time we could get in was like 8:30 in the evening, so we decided against it. There's also a lounge for liquid meals and the Bear Paw Deli for quick snacks and ice cream. The Old Faithful Snow Lodge has the obsidian dining room. Now, we did show up about 5 p.m. to eat. We tried to make reservations and we were told that we'd have to wait till about 7 to get a table. And this is October, so expect a wait. And of course, in the summer, expect a longer wait. Now, also in the Snow Lodge is the Geyser Grill. Now, in the Old Faithful Lodge is a cafeteria-style restaurant, and I would say the food was okay. To be honest, I probably wouldn't come to Yellowstone necessarily for the food. All right, well, let's talk about geysers. I mean, honestly, it's probably why you came here to Old Faithful. Now, the Upper Geyser Basin around the area contains the highest concentration of geysers on Earth. In fact, there's about 150 hydrothermal features in this small region of the park alone. That's nearly a quarter of all of the geysers in the entire world. Now, Old Faithful itself was named back in 1870 by the Washburn expedition, and it's been faithfully erupting ever since. In fact, over 1 million times. It shoots thousands of gallons of boiling water up to 185 feet in the air every 90 minutes on average. Now, if you want to know when it's going to erupt next, well, the park rangers can actually predict eruptions within about a 10-minute window or so. So if you want to find out when the next eruption is, go to the visitor center. That is, unless there's a government shutdown like there is right now, and the building is closed. Now, there is a boardwalk area with seating for viewing Old Faithful. Also, one of the ugly facts about this beautiful area is that it's busy. As mentioned, we're here in early October, but it still looks a little bit like Disneyland. Now, the summer, pack your patience in the summer. The Upper Geyser Basin around Old Faithful contains 5 major geysers with predicted eruptions. Besides Old Faithful, there's Castle, Grand, Daisy, and Riverside. There's also Beehive and Giantess geysers. Now, last night, just before sunset, I spent about an hour or so wandering around the boardwalks that loop through the basin, and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, if you're staying here, don't just stick around the Old Faithful area and call it a day. No, in fact, there's so much more to see. Just a few miles from here, you'll find Midway Geyser Basin, home to the absolutely stunning Grand Prismatic Spring. This thing is 370 feet across with these mind-blowing rings of blue, green, yellow, orange, and red created by heat-loving bacteria. The colors are out of this world. They're surreal. Now, personally, I think the best place to go to take a look at this incredible sight is the short trail to the Grand Prismatic Overlook for kind of an aerial type view. Now, the viewing platform is not huge, and people can get, shall we say, impatient. Also, a quick tip, if you can, take your photo of the Grand Prismatic Spring when the sun is out, as the colors are far more vibrant. Biscuit Basin is actually nearby too, but it is currently closed because in 2024, well, it exploded. In fact, you can still see right now hundreds of large rocks and boulders that litter the area around Biscuit Basin and were the result of the explosion. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Also nearby is the beautiful Black Sand Basin, which is where we saw some bison just hanging out and chilling. Now, like other areas, you can actually wander around on the boardwalks. And another great trek in the area is to the beautiful Fairy Falls. Now, one thing we did do, and I highly recommend if you have the time, is to take a tour. Now, we traveled around for about 5.5 hours in an old yellow tour bus. In fact, there was only 4 of us, as well as Dan, the tour guide. And the whole experience was wonderful. I'll leave the details in the description below of the tour we took. Now, while we didn't see any bears or moose, we did see plenty of elk and a number of bison. We also saw some beautiful landscapes at sunrise. And in fact, we also did a quick visit to the incredible Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. And by the way, if you do have a chance to see the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, I would. It is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, here are some quick tips if you're visiting the area. Now, if you're not staying at Old Faithful, but you want to see it, arrive early in the morning or later in the evening to avoid the peak of the crowds, because they can be extraordinarily large. And the peaks are really between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Also, parking can be a nightmare, so be advised. Always stay once you're here on the boardwalks. It kind of makes sense, but that water is literally boiling, dangerously acidic, and can cause severe burns or death. The ground can be very unstable, so yeah, no shortcuts. And follow the signs, unlike this guy. Now, if you're visiting Old Faithful, it has an incredible visitor center, but as already mentioned, unfortunately, there is a government shutdown right now, and the visitor center is, well, closed. Also, watch out for wildlife on the roads and in the wild. Follow the park rules about wildlife and do carry bear spray. And what always surprises me, in fact, I'm a little bit out of breath now, is the elevation here is real. In fact, it's about 7,300 feet. Now, for example, if you're from Australia, the highest point in Australia is Mount Kosciuszko, and it's 7,300 feet. So anyway, take it easy, particularly if you're not acclimated. So there you go, the incredible Old Faithful. So, was it worth visiting? Absolutely yes. My previous visits were basically in and out like most visitors, but staying here for a few days allowed us to take it easy, explore, relax, and enjoy the entire complex. I highly recommend it and hope that you have a chance to enjoy just a little piece of American history.